Now, you had me on about a year ago, and we had a great chat. Thank you so much for that. And at that time, you were more or less convinced of orthodoxy and beginning that journey. Let's pause and rewind. We want to talk about you today. I remember seeing pictures of you on some social media thing where maybe you were like a 90s alternative cool girl. Were you like a raver girl, or what were you?
I don't know if I like put a label on it, but yeah, like I was like a hipster. I ran in those groups, went to
Gotcha.
raves, like partied a lot.
You went to raves?
Had some, yeah, some pretty cool ones actually in like the forest in ruins in Ireland, and
Wow.
yeah,
You were.
they were good. They were good times, but I mean, yeah, it's a part of my past that I'm not like necessarily ashamed of, but I do kind of regret spending so much of my life just sort of wistfully partying, doing nothing, carrying a lot of superficial things.
Yeah. Well, everybody has, I think, that kind of. Most people have that period or phase. So,
Yeah.
now, did you have a religious upbringing? Was it some kind of Protestantism? I don't recall.
Yeah, so I was Anglican when I
Oh,
was
that's right.
raised.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And was it like a conservative type of Anglicanism, or was it like the mainline liberal Anglicanism?
No, we're a very conservative family, and our church is actually pretty traditional. There was never any like talk of like pride or anything like that in my church whatsoever. And I didn't have a negative experience as an Anglican growing up. It was just that my faith was kind of lukewarm, and I was very interested in Eastern religion. So I was, I believed in God, but I felt like Christianity maybe wasn't the only way that I could experience God or know God.
Right.
And I wanted to learn more about other cultures, religions, so that I could maybe get a deeper understanding. But I mean, once I did that, I kind of was pulled away from God, ironically. So
Did you have a like a New Agey phase, a Buddhist phase,
yeah,
or what was your phase that you went into next?
yeah, it was definitely like a new agey phase because I was dabbling in multiple Eastern religions all at once. I was really interested in meditation and yoga from like a Hindu perspective. But I also dabbled a lot in Zen Buddhism
Mm.
specifically. And during my early 20s, when I went to South Korea to teach English as a second language, I would visit a lot of temples and do temple stays for like long periods of time and like meet with the monks and learn different types of ways to meditate and stuff. So I was really serious about it. I took it seriously, and I really believed that what I was doing was going to be beneficial to me, but it really wasn't in the end, unfortunately.
So, did your universal consciousness, having the body-mind experience of 5D reality, touch the zone, the 14th zone, or not?
I don't know about the 14th zone. I know that I became kind of blissed out. Like I was, um, I don't know how to really describe what it was that happened to me because I don't really know exactly what it was that happened to me. But I was really, really happy all of the time, really quite narcissistic and self involved and judgmental of other people. I felt like I had found like the secret or the answer to life, and I had solved all my problems. And so I kind of looked down on anyone who was suffering as opposed to having like
Mm.
actual genuine compassion or empathy for them. And at the time, that I was sort of oblivious to that, which is kind of it's shameful, right? Because compassion is supposed to be the central part of Buddhism, right? So I was LARPing as a Buddhist. It wasn't real. It was very I liked the aesthetics a lot,
Mm.
and I liked to meditate a lot. And I was a big weed smoker back then too. So like I kind of just wanted to chill, and have a nice vibe, and that was the sort of new agey religion, the sort of surface level take on all those Eastern religions. Really, it just vibed with that, I
Hmm.
guess.
And I see you're still growing some of those 420s behind you. I see quite a few growths back there that are quite questionable. Oh, not really. I'm joking. Now, Have you seen that skit, that Zone Theory skit from Tim and Eric? It's kind of a classic for that.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I'll have to post that later, but you'll get a kick out of Zone Theory. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Anyway, so one question about that yoga time period. Did you have any experiences where you felt like there was something dark going on in the meditation, or was it always what you felt was positive?
Yeah, no, there were definitely a few times where, so for example, there was one time when I was meditating. I was reading a book written by Osho. Do you know this guy,
Yeah, I know.
Osho?
Yeah.
Yes, so I
Yes,
was
we
reading.
have done Osho's many times, and Osho has the most spiritual nasal whistles.
He's got the best booger whistle of any guru ever.
Yeah, so yeah, I was really into him, and he sort of, I am ashamed to admit that I was taken by him for a long time, and really the thing is that just that he speaks slowly, so it makes you think that what he's saying is like really profound, but it's not. It's not really.
He's the
Nor is
Sphinx
it.
from Mystery Men. Have you seen Mystery Men?
No, I haven't.
So there's a
Unfortunately.
funny movie. It's a '90s goofy movie with Ben Stiller, and there's a character that's the Sphinx, and he's just like that. He's like the Dalai Lama. He just says these really kind of contradictory, mystical sentences, and everybody's like wowed by.
That's
And he's
exactly
not really
it.
saying
So
anything.
yeah, and that's what I was very steeped in. So playing with these sort of like contradictory thoughts and like trying to rationalize them to myself, and I was meditating and sort of taking breaks and reading this book written by Osho, and there was a part in the book where he said, you should think of your meditation the way that you think of your beloved. And there was something about that sentence, I guess, that just like it was like profound to me in the moment. And so I closed my eyes and I started to meditate, and I started to see kind of like I'm quite good at visualization just naturally. And so my meditation was always there was always a lot of visualization in them, and I started to see sort of bubbles like I was underwater, and then I started to see a whirlpool that was kind of spinning in front of me, kind of like a tornado, right? That's how it looked from my perspective, but I knew it was underwater. And then the cyclone kind of shifted so that instead of it twirling in front of me, it shifted so I could see down into it. And I could see, yeah, so it was spinning from the top. And as soon as I saw deep down into it, it was like my consciousness went to the very bottom of the tornado or the cyclone, and it felt so deep and so profound and so dark that it frightened me. And it sort of gave me a real severe jolt, and I started crying and like came out of it. So I
So
mean, I don't know what that was necessarily that I witnessed, but it definitely scared me and felt very dark.
So everybody's saying that they can't hear you. Hold on, I've got her audio capture all the way as high as it'll go. So I don't know what else I can do. Let me try one thing. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So hopefully it's just probably trolls trolling. I don't know, but there was a
If
question
that
about
means I
Osho.
better have my mic.
That's okay. I've got you up as far as you'll go, so you can just turn up the volume for her if you can't hear her. I'm sorry, but did you ever see the documentary that was really good from Netflix on Osho? That was pretty wild. Tristan and I did a whole analysis of the documentary series.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And there was another documentary that was made even before the Netflix one that kind of exposed what was going on at
Yeah, I
that
watched it at
church.
Bible college. Some of that, like that old evangelical one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that one's
yeah,
funny.
yeah. I've seen them both. Yeah, they're quite good.
My favorite line is when Sheila is being interviewed on Donahue or whatever, and some boomer's like, "And he's got 14 Rolls Royces. He's a con man." And Sheila goes, "And he would have 15 by Tuesday." She's like, "Tough." She goes, "Tough titties." It's the best line ever from a cult leader. Tough titties. He's got 14 Rolls Royces and he'll have 15 by Tuesday. Anyway, so everybody says the sound is good. So y'all need to
Good.
hush in the audience. Hush up. We're letting Robin talk. Hush. Anyway, you can also support us via super chats. I know we have a tightwad audience today. We usually have the money flowing. There's no super chats today. We have one of the internet's premier divas here today. I'm talking about myself, of course. So where are the super chats? Please give me your money so that I can get Bitcoin and become rich. Anyway, all right. So Osho, it's weird. You've got weird stuff going on. is that what led to going back to Protestantism for a while, or was it marriage that got you like rethinking life and being responsible for other people?
I went sort of all the way with what I was capable of doing on my own from the New Age perspective, dabbling in these other religions, and it kind of brought me to a place where I felt like I couldn't really feel anything strongly unless I was either high or like, doing something to sort of trigger dopamine release, right? And so I kind of became disillusioned with it. And I, for a while before I came back to Christianity, I wouldn't say that I was an atheist. Like I wasn't like our atheist fedora tipper or anything, but I was completely lost. And I felt like I didn't know how to relate to God anymore. And I felt stupid praying, because I had lost touch with my Christian roots. I had kind of damaged myself in all these ways by dabbling in kind of like demonic stuff for a while, thinking it was good, very naively. And so for 4 or 5 years, I was just kind of, partying. That was my partying phase where I felt like I had nothing, and that was a really dark time of my life. And I was real sad and felt like I'd wasted my life and I wasn't going to be able to recover, and I didn't know how to get back. That kind of young, happy vibe that I used to have before all of that. And then I found Jordan Peterson, which is like kind of, it's the part of the story that I don't like talking about necessarily, because there's like...
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You can't find me. I'm like, where's Jordan? It's like, where's Waldo, but with me? Where am I? You can't find me, because there is no me. There's only us.
Anyway, that reminded me too. I meant to not to change the subject. I do want to go to the JBP phase, but I found some of the best quotes from the Sphinx and Mystery Men, and he says, "We are number one. All others are number 2 or lower. To learn my teachings, I must first teach you to learn. He who questions training only trains himself in asking questions. You must be like the wolf pack, not the 6-pack. When you care for what is outside, what is inside cares for you. When you doubt your powers, you give power to your doubts." Anyway, so that's classic Sphinx, classic Mystery Man. Everybody be sure and go watch, there we go, Super Chats. We're here for money. That's what we care about at this channel, mammon, and you guys know that. We love the mammon around here. And so, JBP, was there something that JBP said that stuck out to you? Like, I think most people, when they have the kind of New Age phase, and I think when I was in high school, I kind of had a dabbling. I didn't even know it was New Age, but I was like, yeah, man, like I'm really deep, and I can, get really stoned and think about deep shit, and I can like draw really cool stuff when I'm stoned. So I felt like I was deep, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have a phase where and then you start to realize that it kind of doesn't make sense that everything's true. Like, did you begin to kind of question the idea? And that's what the New Age is really based on, is that everything is true, everything's relative. Nothing is true, everything's true. And that eventually that just kind of doesn't make sense. You get a little older and you're like, wait a minute. No, some things are wrong. Some things are bad. Some things are false. And so there has to be true and false. And I think that for a lot of people, Jordan Peterson kind of snaps people out of the idea that there's no objectivity.
Yes. So at the time I was living in downtown Dublin, which is like, it's the belly of the beast. Like some of the strains of progressivism that are floating around in Dublin are some of the most like virulent strains of progressivism I've ever encountered in my entire life. And so I didn't know anyone in my life really who, at the time, who was conservative. And I was sort of surrounded by all of these radical feminists, and lots of the queer community just like dominates the rave scene as well. So I was constantly around that kind of thing. And there were things that would happen that I was just like not agree with, or I felt like I don't relate to this, or especially with the Trump presidency, when he came on the scene, I was like, this guy's funny. Like, I enjoy listening to him talk. I think he like serves a purpose. And I would like to see Trump as the president. Whereas everyone around me were like, they hated him and were just like normies of such a degree that they would say things like PewDiePie is a Nazi, like that level of normie. When I heard Jordan Peterson talking about, the things that are wrong with feminism, that was one of the first times that I felt like, okay, well, yeah, maybe this relativist version, the ideology version of looking at things isn't actually valid. Like I respected Jordan Peterson at the time. I felt like he was a smart guy. The things that he said just immediately made sense to me. And so I followed that. And when he started talking, he didn't stop.
Right. So Robin is not on her microphone, and that's why the audio is a little bit low. I'm fixing the audio. No, it's just the audience is freaking out. So I'm fixing the audio. She's on her laptop, and I've got it up as far as it'll go. So I can't do it any better. But yeah. So sorry about that. Dude, if one more person tells me the audio is low, like when the first 100 people, I see it. Anyway,
Live chat
now
cancer.
I know now they're gonna be like, now everybody's gonna do it to tell me that your audio is low. So, anyway, you should be better now. Got you up literally as far as you can go. So I don't know what else to do. No, it's not. It's not. Could you? Let me see something here. Can you talk for a second, Robin?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Give me a test. Can you hear me? Robin?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you do a test for me?
Yeah, test. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so I can hear her fine. So they're just trolling. All right, so you start to question the New Age stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And pick up where you were. I'm sorry, I got distracted with all this.
Oh, that's okay. So I had left the New Age stuff, was just sort of like reveling in hedonism, smoking weed, going to parties, in like a relationship that was going nowhere. Wanting things but not knowing how to ask for them, like wanting to be married and have kids and stuff, and wanting to have a relationship with God, but not even really having the ability to articulate those things, and then when I found Jordan Peterson, a lot of the things that he was saying, it made a lot of sense to me. And, because I was so afraid to ask for what I wanted, or even articulate things that felt like from the degenerate's perspective, what a normie would want, like family and, a wholesome life. Things that Jordan Peterson said, like, tell the truth or at least don't lie, tell the truth and see what happens. And so I started to honor those uncomfortable feelings in myself that were making me think that, this lifestyle is going nowhere and there's a way out. And I can go towards what it is that Jordan Peterson is talking about, which at the time seemed really appealing.
Yeah, I think I remember when I first heard Jordan Peterson's stuff. To me, it didn't sound that profound. Not because I'm trying to be overly critical. I think he has some insightful comments here and there, and I think that at least we pray and hope that he would become Orthodox eventually. He seems to have an interest in that, but I didn't find what he was saying that profound, because if you know Carl Jung, if you know Plato, if you know Nietzsche, if you know classical liberalism, that's really all it is. It's kind of just a picking out of the classical liberal tradition and Plato and that kind of stuff. So, but I don't see how people don't make the connection between the fact that, what's central to Christianity is the historical reality of Christ. If Christ wasn't who he's presented in the Gospels as, then this is not a true religion. This is just one of, I guess you could say, symbols. Like all the religions are just a bunch of jumbled symbols, and that's more like Freemasonry, right? The idea that all the world religions are just a combination of symbols. So did you have a period where you were kind of beginning to think, well, who's the character of Jesus? Did JBP put that on your radar, or was that a separate thing?
No, I've always believed that Jesus was a real person, but I would have probably in my New Agey phase questioned whether or not he was the Messiah. Like I would have probably bought into ideas like, oh, well, God will speak to different cultures using people that will be relatable to them. So like Siddhartha,
right,
and Buddha would have been a way that God could speak to people that would relate to that way of framing religion, and Jesus would be another version of that, as opposed to really thinking of Jesus as who he is and who he was, which is the Son of God and our Messiah and the one and only type thing,
Right. So what led to, so you're going back to Anglican, or you had a Baptist phase, didn't you?
I didn't want to go back to Anglicanism because I knew that it wasn't like most Anglican churches aren't the way that my little Anglican church is in the middle of nowhere in Newfoundland, which would be very conservative and traditional. Most Anglican churches are fully infiltrated and flying the pride flag and that kind of thing. I was interested in the Catholic Church for a while, but it really felt very intimidating to me. I just I didn't know how to approach Catholicism because it just felt like such a big thing that I was just so ignorant of all the different traditions and stuff that went on in the Catholic Church.
Now, when you say big and intimidating, what exactly? What do you mean?
Well, I think I had a lot of how people kind of it's easy to hate on the Catholic Church, because of the crimes that have been committed in the church and that kind of a thing. I think I had some feelings about the church that were influenced by that. And I don't know, like the Pope never really, maybe it was my Protestant roots or something, but the Pope as a infallible figure, it just never made sense to me, and it was not something that I ever felt like was true.
Well, you're not the only lass from Ireland that had a problem with the Pope. Do you remember Sinead O'Connor tearing up the picture of the Pope?
I do. Yeah. I do. Yes, I
it's
do remember
been
that
7 hours and 16 days.
She didn't sell an album for like a decade after that.
Did you know what else was weird about her is that she kind of went nutso and somehow believed that she became a traditional Catholic priest. Now, I don't know how you can mix these two, but in her mind, she became a traditional Catholic priest for a while. Yes. I remember that. When I was a trad cat, I was like, how does she think she's a traditional Catholic priest? I mean, there's nothing more antithetical to being a traditional Catholic than a woman priest. I mean, it just makes no sense. But she wanted to do the Latin Mass. It was like, I don't know, something crazy. And then I think now she claims she's like a Muslim or something. So
yeah,
but
when she became irrelevant, she kind of lost the plot, I think.
Right. Now, some people had said too in the chat that I want to address that Osho. There were people defending Osho. Now, I think if you watch the documentary about Osho, what's evident there is there's more going on. I mean, there's obviously a kind of intelligence operation going on there with the trafficking of large sums of money being laundered, weapons being trafficked. I mean, that is more than just a peace, love, hippie type of communion religion. I mean, that's definitely a mind control. I mean, he had like a huge surveillance set up. He had all the latest, surveillance equipment going on. That is more than just a bunch of dumb hippies in a cult and a commune. I don't know what your thought on that is, but we've done a lot of dissecting of cults and their connections to, intelligence operations and that kind of stuff. So to me, all the red flags about Osho's cult are pretty obvious there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. But okay, so back to you, and you now how you had a Baptist phase. I remember this though, right?
Yes. So I've had a long phase before, officially moving towards Orthodoxy, where I was kind of like church shopping, which is not good, but like I just didn't know where I belonged as a Christian. I didn't know where the right place to worship was. And I was in Whitehorse, Yukon, for the past 2 years. I've moved as of 2 months ago, but that's where I was, sort of stuck up in the north, in the middle of nowhere. So there weren't many options. The Catholic Church was flying pride flags and the trans flag up there. And my husband
represent.
He was raised Catholic, but my husband also had a lot of issues with Catholicism, just from his upbringing as a Catholic. So he wasn't really willing to like take our family in that direction. So that's when the decision away from Catholicism was sort of made for me, because I'm gonna follow my husband's lead on that. I didn't even consider Orthodoxy. I assumed there was no Orthodox option in Whitehorse, which was a really bad mistake. But my midwife was a Baptist, and I loved my midwife. She was a very devout Christian, and raised her children to be Christians, and she offered to have me come with her for one of their Sunday services. And so I went, and I enjoyed the community at the Baptist church. There were a lot of families, there was a lot of young kids. I was pregnant at the time, and I enjoyed the singing. And I just enjoyed the fact that it felt like a vibrant church that was growing, because there were a lot of people there, and there were lots of kids, and people were kind and sweet, and they were very, very supportive during my postpartum phase. Without them, I wouldn't have had a very good time in my postpartum phase. They cooked for me and brought me food, and they were all wonderful. So I don't want to say anything bad about my experience at the Baptist church, aside from the fact that just the way that they conducted their worship felt wrong instinctually. Like there was no communion on Sunday. Mm-hmm. That immediately for me was just like, I can't do this.
So from your Anglican background, you already had a kind of a predilection for liturgical worship.
Absolutely. Yeah. And without communion, I was like, what am I doing here? Like I found it, I really tried, because I didn't want to have to go through the awkward experience of becoming integrated in my midwife's church and then being like, oh, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm gonna leave, I'm not gonna come back. So it was hard to do that. But I had to, because no matter how much I tried to talk myself into, you can still experience, valid worship here. It's good for the community. You have this great community here. You should stay for that. Like none of those things were allowed me to stop wanting to take communion and wanting to have the same sort of experience that I had when I was growing up during church, where things were very sort of austere and serious and reverent. Of the entire process, which was not a part of my experience at the Baptist church, where like the pastor was a Texan guy, and he like always wore cowboy boots and like a belt buckle, and he was kind of like Yosemite Sam a little bit. Like he had that vibe of like just like very loud and boisterous and like kind of, I don't know, very charming man, really knew his scripture, but it just wasn't right for us. So that's
I was going to ask you, are the Canadian Baptists like they are here? I mean, I grew up Baptist, so I know everything about Southern Baptist preachers. Is it a Southern Baptist or is it something else?
He himself was Southern Baptist. I don't think that the church in the Yukon was considered a Southern Baptist church, but because like that's his personality, and I'm sure like if you met him, you would see him as the perfect archetype of the Southern Baptist priest. Like minister, he was like, really obese and overweight, wore suspenders and cowboy boots. And like I said, he was just, he was his own thing. I don't want to say anything bad about him, but it was just like kind of a caricature, I think, his method of guiding worship. And I don't know much about what it's like down in the South, so I can't really make a comparison. So I don't know.
Well, Baptist preachers down south speak with a southern accent, and they like to talk about Jesus. Friends, I want to tell you about Jesus. Have you ever told your personal testimony up on the stage? I want to invite Robin. Come on down here up on the stage and get up here on this altar, Robin, and tell us how the Lord Jesus saved you from your sin. That's a Southern Baptist preacher.
That's what he would do, and that was something I really hated, actually. Like, I don't like when he would ask random people from the congregation to go up to the altar and then like guide us in a prayer. I would be like, this is wrong. Like, why? Who is this person? I don't know who this person is. Like, I don't want to put myself into a state of prayer with someone who's like not qualified to be guiding me in prayer. It was just really, there's a lot of things that were really uncomfortable about my experience at the Baptist church too.
Now let's talk about the cracks in doctrine. So apart from the personal experience, what were the things that began to crack for you in terms of theology and like, okay, maybe this Baptist church doesn't have the goods?
So when he said that, he was like, he asked me if we had been saved. And that was the first time that I had ever encountered the idea of being saved. And he said that, and the way he described it, I thought maybe I was saved because I had a relationship with God. I had been baptized and I believed my baptism was valid. And but he said I had to know the exact time and the exact day and like the exact moment that I became saved. He's like, if you don't know exactly when it happened, you're not saved. And he sort of set it up like, well, all you have to do is ask God to save you. Mm-hmm. And if you ask him, he will, because of this verse, and this verse. And if God's a liar, which he isn't, then you won't be saved, right? So that's how you know that you will be. And he said that once you've been saved, you are definitely going to heaven, and you can kind of, try to live your life as good of a Christian as you can be, knowing that you've been saved and that you're definitely going to heaven. And me and my husband were just like, what? Like, you can't know that you're going to heaven for sure. And we had, for I think it was 5 weeks, he would make house visits, and we would ask him our questions, and he had a really good response and all these like scripture verses to back up what he was saying every single time we would ask a question to try and like poke holes in what he was saying. And he just was, I guess his personality was so charismatic and so big that we often felt like, even though we felt like what he was saying was wrong, we couldn't come up with the arguments to defeat him, in like sort of a battle of wits or knowledge. So that was when we actually, it was soon after or in the middle of that process where I spoke to you for the first time about a year ago.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever watch Billy Graham stuff? Have you ever seen Billy Graham's?
No, I don't know that name.
You don't know Billy Graham? He's like the most famous evangelist in all of history, like the famous Southern Baptist preacher.
I grew up in a very sheltered place. There's lots of things that I probably should know that I don't know.
Well, anyway, he's funny because he's like I was trying to think of another archetype of what a Southern Baptist preacher is. But, I mean, no, Billy Graham was actually used by the CIA. He was an asset for the CIA during the Cold War, famously to spread evangelicalism against the Soviet Empire. So he's an important figure to know about. But anyway, so then I remember there was something, so I think what was really bad about the time when you were converting, coming in, and this was something we saw with a lot of people, was 2020 was a nightmare time to convert to Orthodoxy because the whole world was put under this kufid. We all know about the kufid. And I know that you had some questions about I think, didn't you check out a couple churches? I'm going from memory.
No,
you only had one?
At that point, so I didn't, so I can't remember the timeline exactly, but I had a conversation with Rebecca from Blonde to the Belly of the Beast and Roosh on my channel that's dedicated to like family and motherhood and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Roosh said, you should just try and find an Orthodox church, and maybe God wants you to try harder to find one. Maybe you're just not looking hard enough for one. Maybe there's one that's an hour drive and you just don't know because you haven't looked. So I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's true. I haven't actually made an effort to find an Orthodox church. I just assumed that there wasn't one. And there was one literally 5 minutes from my house. There was an Orthodox mission, literally a 5-minute drive down the road.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yes. And so we called the priest. We asked him to come for a home visit so that we could ask him some questions. And we did. We immediately felt very sort of drawn to him and connected to him, and like what he just felt like a really holy man, and that what he was saying was true. It made a lot of sense, and he also broke down a lot of the things that we were struggling with from the Baptist church for us, and used scripture to show why what we had been taught at the Baptist church was false. And so that was the beginning of the conversion to Orthodoxy, was just meeting him for the first time and then going to a liturgy. That following Sunday, we went to a divine liturgy for the first time, and we were the only people there because there's probably only 10 people in that mission. And it's just a little tiny room. It has icons all over the place, and it was very cozy and really beautiful, but it was really tiny. It was just a room that they had rented in the back of a daycare. And we were able to witness and experience divine liturgy with our priest and Matushka, just myself and my husband, and my son for the first time alone, which was a really cool experience.
Wow. Yeah. Did you warm up pretty quick then, or were there still things that bothered you? Like, were there things? Because a lot of people come in, they're like, well, I'm still worried about this, and what about icons, and what is that idolatry? And did you have that kind of Protestant hang up, or did it all just come pretty naturally?
No, as soon as we went to the divine liturgy, me and my husband came out, and we were like, this feels right. Like this really feels right. And I was like, I want to convert to Orthodox. Like I was sold, after I went to the liturgy. But both my priest and my husband was like, you're not supposed to convert to Christianity or to Orthodox Christianity out of like excitement. It has to be a conscious decision that you make from a state of sort of like calm, and you're not supposed to do it out of just enthusiasm, which is what I wanted to do. And so my priest was like, well, why don't you keep coming to liturgy? We'll start doing Bible studies. You can come to Bible studies. I can do home visits so I can answer any more of your questions. And then we can talk about you becoming a catechumen.
Now, did you have when they handed you the snakes, did you have a problem, or was that natural to you too?
When they handed me what?
The snakes?
The snakes? That didn't happen. Were they supposed
am
I being denied some?
I think you went to the wrong Orthodox church, because you're supposed to do the snake handling like first thing. So
I think I've been denied this
Nope.
experience.
Oops. Sorry. You got to start over. You converted to the whole wrong Orthodox church.
Oh no.
I'm just joking. We have snake handlers in Tennessee.
I have no idea if you do or not. You could be trolling me, and I'm really gullible.
There are really backwoods churches and Ozark churches that do that.
Wow. And what's the significance of snake handling from the Orthodox perspective?
It's not Orthodox. It's really weird, like redneck country churches that do it, and they. It's because
charming, like when they do the like.
No. It's because there's the verse at the end of the Gospel of Mark where Jesus says that my followers, if they pick up snakes, it won't harm them. If they drink poison, it won't kill them. And it's referring to what happens in the Book of Acts, right? So in the Book of Acts, Paul gets bitten by a snake and it doesn't hurt him, but they think that you have to literally do these things to show.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because if you look them up, these churches, like they'll write down the commandments like no tobacco, no alcohol, must handle snakes, and they can't spell, so everything's misspelled. But people don't know that, like, yeah, there really are these groups out in the sticks in Tennessee and in the Ozarks.
That's wild. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a few super chats. Now, before we get to super chats, can we ask what your patron saint was?
Yes, of course. My patron saint is Saint Bridget. I actually have my little travel icon of her right here with
And
me.
and what was the reason? What was your? Can you tell us why?
Yes. So I felt very connected to St. Bridget because when I was living in Ireland, for some reason on St. Bridget's Day, which is in February, everyone would make St. Bridget's cross out of reeds. And I just found this to be a really relaxing activity that I just used to really like to do. So leading up to St. Bridget's Day, I used to make a bunch of them. And I used to sell, like it was like a florist at a market stuff, and I used to sell them for like $1, you know, and people would take them and put them over their doors and stuff like that. And so she was a saint that just really stood out to me that I had a connection with already. And then when I was doing some research, because my priest was like, I want you to really look into who St. Bridget was and her life and what she is the saint of before you commit. Because I immediately said that I liked St. Bridget. And he's like, okay, do your research first. So then I did. And then when I found that she's the patron saint of midwives, milkmaids, babies, charity. These are all things that I just naturally am very interested in and that I'm passionate about, and that a lot of my online work focuses on already. So I just felt like, yes, like it makes sense that I feel called towards St. Bridget as my patron saint. And also there's something about her charity, that she was known for being so charitable that she would, you know, more than what she even had. She would almost bring herself into harm's way to give to others. And that was something that was a part of my personality in my youth. Like I would do, like if I came across a homeless person that was asking for something, like I would like go to the ATM and like take out $20 and like buy them a meal and then give them the change and just like, you know, put myself sometimes in kind of hairy situations to help people. And while I think that now that I'm an older and more mature woman, I don't want to be stupid and put myself in dangerous situations to be charitable, but I want to kind of try and bring that charity back that I've kind of lost from being, I guess, jaded over the years. I sometimes will be more suspicious of people and not so trusting of people and not wanting to give to people. And so I was hoping that by having St. Bridget as my patron saint, that I would be able to rekindle that spirit of charity that I once used to have.
Interesting. Yes, we could always have more charity for sure. And Paul says that's, you know, the most important thing. So you can know all the mysteries and you can know all of the theology, and it profits nothing if you don't have love, right?
Yes,
so love
exactly.
is key. So, and that doesn't mean, by the way, that you can have love and throw away everything else. That's an opposite extreme, because that's not actually love. And a lot of people do this when they appeal to Mother Teresa. Oh, she did all these great works. Yeah, but Jesus says you can do all the works that you want. If they're not done in the church and for the church, they don't count you anything. So
Yes.
you can do, you can be a nice person all you want. That's not sufficient. So let's, is there any other theological things that you think really stuck out? What has your experience been now that you've been Orthodox for about a year?
So no, I've been officially Orthodox, I think, for 4 months. Like, it's
Oh,
still
okay.
really new. It's still really new.
Did you have how long was your catechumen period, if you don't mind me asking?
8 months?
Okay.
Yeah, about 8 months. And we were going to wait until Great Lent for me to be chrismated. But after I told my my priest my story, like my sort of like being raised Christian, leaving the faith, wanting to come back, finding Orthodoxy, he felt that I had had a true born again experience, and that he felt that by waiting to chrismate us and waiting to be in communion with the church would actually be a hindrance to my spiritual journey or my spiritual development. So I'm very thankful that he was very efficient in sort of the process of teaching us what we needed to know and then getting us through the doors of the church. And he believed that my original baptism was valid, so I wasn't rebaptized, which kind of upset me a little bit, because I like the fact that in Orthodoxy we are submerged. I feel like that makes sense, and I really had this vision of myself having this profound spiritual experience of being fully submerged and being baptized as an adult. But my priest didn't think that that was the right thing to do. So we didn't. And I was chrismated along with my husband. And then we had communion for the first time after that. And when I was chrismated, that still was a very profound experience for me. And the way that my priest explained it to me was that he says that it was like sort of turning the light switch on of grace within you, so that your senses are seeing and hearing and smelling and speaking in the way that God wants you to, and your feet walking in the way that God wants you to. And I feel like definitely my experience as a Christian after being chrismated and being in the Orthodox Church for the past only short while, it's been the most authentic and uplifting and beautiful experience that I've ever had spiritually. And I was worried that I was worried that my faith was going to be a bit lukewarm, because I was kind of like, oh gosh, now I got to drag myself to church. Am I going to feel the way I did when I was a teenager, dreading it on Saturday evening? But it's not like that at all. I look forward to church all week long. So yeah, it's been wonderful. I do still have some struggles that I'm going through as a new Orthodox Christian, but overall it's been a very positive experience.
All right, let's get to the super chats. Rolf Steaks for $5. Can you do a debate with the Sphinx from Mystery Men? Yes. And we already quoted his best lines, and I concede he's won. Rain Man, $10, says nothing. Well, thank you, Dustin Hoffman. I didn't expect you to say anything. And I would invite you, Rain Man, come down here to the altar. We've got cheese pizza here. If you say the sinner's prayer, I'll give you a nice hot slice of cheese pizza to warm your belly. That's Billy Graham, by the way. Duke of Earl, $10. Great guest. Good to see that Robin has become Orthodox. Yes, thank you. Orthodoxy Chlor Queen, $10. Welcome home, Robin. Thank you for sharing your story and your thoughts. God bless. Thank you, Orthodoxy Chlor Queen. Asgard Audio, $10. I had been on a similar path as Robin, and I'm now coming to Orthodoxy. Jay, could you do your Frodo impression? Mr. Frodo, will you please convert to Orthodoxy? Please, I'm tired of eating mashed potatoes. I want you to become Orthodox so we can eat the bread, the lembas bread, Mr. Frodo. There you go. You give me $10 and I'm your dancing monkey. Bronson, $5. Finally, I was able to catch a Jay Dyer live stream. You made it. Welcome. Super chat. Mammon Gang, $10. Mammon Gang. Yes. Give me your money. That's why we're here. Mammon. Robin's channel is linked. We've been going for an hour. I don't know if she wants to keep going. If you give me money, we'll keep going. I don't know. But please follow Robin. Her channel is there. And by the way, you also have a channel dedicated to mom issues. You are a momist of the maternalist sect and faction of momism.
That's true.
And you
I haven't updated on that channel in way too long.
Oh, have you not?
We've kind of abandoned it. Like, it's really bad. It's two moms with toddlers, so trying to get us both together at the same time is really difficult. But hopefully, there's going to be some new content over there soon.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
So anything you want to leave us with? What are you reading? And I mean, I'm not trying to reduce Orthodoxy to reading, but are you how is your husband receiving Orthodoxy? Is he happy to be there? What's he think about all this?
He's doing really well. He as a former Catholic, he already has a lot of his prayer life established and stuff, but he definitely feels like he's come home in Orthodoxy, and I think that he's learning more and more every day about how to be an Orthodox leader of our family. Mm-hmm. It's helped our marriage greatly because we were married. We had a year sort of courtship. We were engaged. We had our first baby within the next year, so we got pregnant almost immediately after marriage. And then COVID happened, right? So our first year of marriage has been filled with lots of challenges and struggles. Moving to a new country, a new baby, all the COVID BS. He's had a few different changes in job because of COVID, sort of making he got laid off and stuff like that. So it was just a really hard time. and having orthodoxy to lean on and lean into and to structure our family life by has been like paramount for us. One of the best tips that my priest gave us when we were after we had been chrismated, he said that at the end of every single day, you should ask each other for forgiveness. And even if it was a good day, even if there's no reason for you to ask for forgiveness. So I will, at the end of the day before bed, I'll say to him, forgive me. And he says, God forgives. And then he says it the same to me. And we forgive each other because God forgives. And that's how we end every single day. And it's kind of like, I guess it's like the Orthodox version of don't go to bed angry at each other type thing. But it's teaching us to be gentler with each other. And without the structure of orthodoxy, I think that we would be in a very different place as a new family in this like new crazy world that we're living in. So I think he's been doing really well. He's reading a book right now that was given to us by our priest before we left, and it's called The Hungry Orthodox Reader, I think it's called. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Mm-mm.
No, it's kind of like a collection. So our priest described it as it's a collection of kind of not lost, but I guess rare pieces of either literature or theology that's been compiled into a book. So you have like all kinds of different bits and pieces that you can get a sample of it, and then you can, if you like it, you can then go get the book that it's from, it's a really nice book to start off with as a new convert, I think, because it can feel very overwhelming when you really sort of take in how much there is to read and learn about your faith. As a new mom, I don't have a lot of time or mental energy for reading.
Right.
But I'm reading Ruch's book, American Pilgrim, which it's not like a theological book, but from his perspective of coming to the faith as a convert as well, I found that to be really, really helpful.
Yeah. All right, everybody, be sure and follow Robin. Hopefully you enjoyed her testimony, her journey. She is the resident snake handler at the Orthodox Church in Canada. So everybody can go track her down. People are wanting to know your address, so we're going to dox you, and so that everybody can go find you and see that you actually do snake handling. I'm joking. We're not going to do that.
No problem.
Nobody needs to know her jurisdiction. You don't need to know her personal private details. Anyway, thank you so much, Robin. It was a great chat. Maybe we can... you can have me on your mom channel. I'll tell you how to be a better mom.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm joking. I don't know anything about that. But yes, thank you. And did you get my books, by the way? Did you get those?
So I have the second book that you wrote, the Hollywood one, because when you sent it to me, you told me that the first one, you didn't have the first one, or the first one.
Oh yeah, I think I was out at that time. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so I have the second one.
Well, it's better anyway.
I think my favorite part of that book is the one on Metropolis.
Oh, cool.
The chapter on Metropolis. I actually have a film degree.
I was about to ask you. I didn't even know. Do you like movies? Are you a movie person?
Yeah. I love movies.
Cool.
And I did film theory in school, which was awesome to do, but also left me like with no skills that are monetizable. So it was very expensive 4 years of my life. But one of my favorite movies that I studied when I was in school was Metropolis. So it was really cool to get your take on Metropolis. It was very, very interesting.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, everybody have a good night, a good day, whatever time this is, wherever you are. That was a weird time zone, dude. It was like 2.5. I've never seen a time zone with a half. That's weird, dude. I don't even get time zones anyway. Time zones themselves don't make sense to me. But so you're actually in the future. So I always want to ask people in the future, can you go look up UFC matches to see who won, and then you tell me so that I can bet? Because you're in the future.
A half an hour before, then I can get you, or half an hour after the game or the match is supposed
You're
to
like Biff.
Tell you what the final is.
You're like Biff in Back to the Future too. Like you've got the almanac, and I just need to get you to tell me who wins what. It's crazy, dude. All right, thank you so much, Robin, and have a good evening.